Hey, it goes in waves. To be quite honest with you, remember, let's look at it right now. For some reason, we always looked at it and said, "Why does George Van Til get a pass on everything?" And then all of a sudden, it's been the exact opposite.
Yeah.
The Times has just been kind of ripping on him about this conservancy district and so forth.
It's interesting, Jim, to see how the newspapers are lining up on that issue. It's the Post-Tribune's totally supporting George on this issue, 100%, lock, stock, and barrel. The editorials, the columns, the reporting, whereas the Times is completely opposite. They've taken a hard stance against this, and basically every chance they get to slam anybody associated with the conservancy district movement, they will take it. I was part of that meeting for a while.
So, I have to stand up for media in general, and I know that, you have your own issues with it, and, George here, I can't believe they're beating up on me like that. And I just have to, at least here, it just to you and everybody else that it's never personal. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes guys that are in leadership positions that are used to like saying, well, this is how it should be. Give kind of snapping orders. Then the media, like the Times, is taking you to task, obviously on some issues recently, but just to show you how it sways, George Van Til, and you'd have guys here saying, oh, it's just because he's part of the Van Til family and this and that. No, it's just maybe he was doing a decent job for a lot of years. Now he's doing something that people don't like, and they are hammering him in kind of a full switch.
I bet, the thing, I think with the written word, it's a lot different. Like with you, you could say something bad about me, and if I heard it, I'm offended. But if I didn't hear it, I just hear it secondhand, and it doesn't hurt as much, right? But most people, when you read the newspaper, if somebody says, hey, McDermott, did you see the newspaper today? And I look at it, I'm like, man, I can't believe they said that. Believe me, I know certain shows that talk about me continuously, and I choose not to listen because it gets my stress level too high, and then I get irritable. So I choose not to listen. But one thing, unfortunately, is I read the paper every day, both papers, and it hurts. I mean, no, but I've become. It's almost like I talk about it like a fighter. Like if you punch a boxer in the face, they're not even going to flinch because they've been punched in the face thousands of times, so it doesn't even hurt, right? But the first time they got punched in the face, it probably hurt them like crazy, right? Well, it's the same thing with politics. They've written about me so many times, said so many lies about me. It doesn't hurt anymore. It just adds to the background, I guess.
Another example, Roy Dominguez. He was like the darling of the Times. I mean, he would be doing things, and I'm like, well, shouldn't they say something here?
Isn't that funny?
Like when it started to come out about the jail and how it was run a couple of years ago, and they were saying, well, let's give him a break and this and that. And I was like, that's okay. I mean, I get along well with Roy, but, there needs to be scrutiny.
There was no scrutiny.
And then all of a sudden, now they're like, they just kind of pushed away.
Oh, that never happened. Right, exactly.
Now they've kind of pushed away from Roy Dominguez, and, it's just that it goes in
anyone in the position of power. And I believe that there's a very famous person who said, the buck stops here. Obviously, there are going to be people who disagree with you, and that's part of the position that you have put yourself in.
Right.
You know what? On the other hand, Mr. Dietlow always says, well, this isn't personal, and I have a disagreement with that. It's kind of to me like the guy who makes jokes about something inappropriate with young girls. Would you ask him to come and babysit? No. Now, not to in any way make that have anything to do with you.
Right.
I like you personally.
Thank you.
Therefore, I think I give you passes sometimes, even if I don't like what it is you stand for.
Okay.
So it works both ways for you, as it does for Mr. Van Til. Now, you asked, did you whine? Sometimes you whine.
Of course.
But he whines a lot. So, I look at it as, hey, you made this choice. And the choice is somebody's going to disagree with you, and maybe because of things you've done in the past, you don't like him, and therefore he doesn't get the pass that you might get.
Judy, I think with George, I think with most, it's funny for me. I get written about so much in the press, and I get treated unfairly, in my opinion, a lot of times. So I've become used to it. And I think what happens is when other people are exposed, like George is going through the ringer right now. Okay, and I acknowledge that. And I don't know how often George has gotten treated the way he's getting treated right now. Although he's been an elected official way longer than me. It's funny when you see people go through the ringer like he is and how they react to it. I think I react differently because I've been mayor 7 years and I've been through the ringer way too many times in those 7 years, so I've become used to it. So I think what I was saying is it's just interesting to see how people react when they start getting the scrutiny that I've become used to, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right. Well, and some people are very powerful behind the scenes, and some people aren't very nice behind the scenes. And that also might have something to do with how he's treated.
True.
Or whomever.
Let me ask you a question, Judy.
Yeah.
A lot of people have almost visceral reactions to George Van Til. It's almost kind of like a weird phenomena. So, I mean, some people, like many people that have never even met the man, I mean, will get emotionally turned around just at the mention of his name, and I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. You explain it to me. Why is that?
Well, I think you're very naive about a lot of things, Jim, and that is why people react. You know, he has made and done a lot of things that will cause people to react that way.
Have you ever met him, Judy?
And it all boils down to it. Seldom does it, you know, there is something about the smoke-fired situation. We act like there isn't, but usually there is.
Judy, have you ever met George? It doesn't matter if you have or not. I was just wondering.
Well, I have actually met him many times.
Good.
I mean, I'm one of those he never remembers, which is just fine with me.
You know,
but a person being pleasant doesn't have anything to do with their you know, what they're really like underneath. I can be pleasant to a lot of people, and I can be a, you know what I mean, B.I.
Right.
Okay, so I'm sure he's the same as the rest of us.
One thing I do, and I've talked to George obviously numerous times. Him and I ran against each other for chairman, so we know each other pretty well. I can tell you what I know about George is he's extremely intelligent, and about politics, he's very, very intelligent. Actually, I enjoy talking to George. I really do. He's a smart guy. It's interesting. He knows a lot of things. He's been doing this a long time. And I'm not even talking about the Conservancy District. I'm just saying, person to person. I really enjoy talking to George. I think it's neat to talk to people that know what they're talking about and about elected, you know, about being an elected official, about being a politician. George knows his stuff. He's very smart about that.
Hey, Judy, you say I'm being naive about a lot of things, and I understand that. Politically, I'm not nearly as astute as a lot of these guys, but I still don't get it why so many people hate George Van Til. There's not been anything. You're just hinting at things he's done or
Can I bring
whatever.
something up?
Yeah.
A lot of people bring up still the gas thing. You know, George has been reelected since then. I always look at when stuff happens and then you have an election, that stuff goes away as far as I'm concerned. And then you got the new stuff that's going to come up during a 4-year term. George had an issue with the gas years ago. He had an election, and he won overwhelmingly in that election.
Right.
So, like, the fact is, people that talk about the gas, I just say, listen, the voters had their chance to weigh in on that topic, and they did. And George won overwhelmingly. So you can't bring up the gas as far as I'm concerned. It's not a legitimate issue anymore. It was a few years ago. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
Judy, you still haven't told me why so many people hate this guy.
Well, you know, it would be difficult for me to, on the air, tell you some of the reasons that I know personally.
Okay, well then call me off the air, because honestly, you say I'm being naive. I'm just being open. The guy's never done anything to me personally, call me off the air and we'll talk. Thank you. 219-845-1100.
Ed, turn into the George Van Til show. We got Ed on the line. Ed on line 6. Let's pull him up. Hi, Ed.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to WGVT.
The whole thing, the George Van Til thing, I think he kind of laid down in the weeds after the whole gas thing, and, you know, there's accusations of him not performing his job well and things, and I think everybody just let it all go, and now he's reared his head again, and I think people are just, it's all coming back to the surface again. The old wounds are coming back out, and people are thinking that he's a crooked Lake County politician. So
and what I just said, though, okay, and I'm asking you straight up, does it make sense to you if I say, I don't remember what year that happened with the gas in the car and all that, okay? And then George went for re-election countywide and won.
Oh, yeah.
Is it legitimate to keep bringing up an issue that happened before
But
that
we have
election?
a history in Lake County of re-electing the same wrong people over and over again, too. So, and that's not directed at you, Mayor.
No, I know.
You're doing
We're
a
talking.
fabulous job.
I appreciate it. We're talking.
But I think people will whine and cry, but they won't get out to the polls and vote the person out of office, let them get reelected, and then when they do something again, they resurface the old wounds and bring them right up to the top, and
And George had it.
Everybody jumps on the guy.
George had a legitimate race last time too. He ran against John Garcia, and Jim knows John Garcia. He's a great guy. He's a smart guy. He's independently self-financed his own campaign. It was a tough race, and George won.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think it's those old wounds that are just coming back. And if the guy would have, been a little more public on the whole gas thing and said, hey, I did wrong, and I'm going to make good on this, and sorry. But, whichever. Sorry to interrupt the Van Til show today, though.
All right, thanks a lot.
It's a good call.
Good day, guys.
Let's it started by talking about the media and get on to George Van Til.
219-845-1100.
Hi, Vern. How's it going?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thanks for calling.
Let me ask you something. You're asking, you say that the voters unanimously put George back into office, and the lady can't disclose what she knows regarding George's and why everybody hates him. You only have to look at actions, but that doesn't matter, that part of it. But just because the voters put him back in office doesn't make the crime go away.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the most foolish answers I've ever heard. That we put a lot of my God, Marion Barry in Washington D.C. got reelected after he went to prison.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that doesn't make the crime go away.
No, I know.
And I think if you find out in the background when that lady calls you back and tells you the inner workings of what George and how he's manipulated people in politics and behind the scenes, that's what creates his problem.
Okay.
That's just. I personally don't think and I don't think there's anybody that knows George any better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I live next door to him, and I've known him since he was probably about 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And I don't think George is a bad person. He just does bad things.
You're right. I mean, first off, I don't know if you're right or not, Vern. I appreciate you calling the show.
Thanks a lot, Vern.
If you live next door to him, you know him way better than I do. But I could tell you from what I know about George, he's a very intelligent person, and he knows a lot about subject matters he knows a lot about. I mean, I don't know anything about engineering. He knows way more than I do, and I could tell you when we talk politics, it's an enjoyable conversation because that excites me. Obviously, it's my job, and George knows a lot about it. I enjoy talking to him about that. So, anyway, funny how
I'm going to let you flail in the wind on that one. I'm not rescuing you.